Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker, host of the Love You Even More podcast. I'm an author, speaker, 2-time Emmy Award winner, and entrepreneur. I'm a Jackie of all trades and a master of some. Each week, I bring on people from all walks of life to talk to them about their inspiring stories in the fields of self-development, relationships, business, and how you can love yourself even more. For more about me and the podcast, visit us at loveyouevenmore.com. Welcome, Travis Holp, to the Love You Even More podcast. Travis is a medium and a psychic advisor, spiritual advisor. I found you on Instagram and instantly fell in love with you because you are so positive. His messages are very short, to the point, and very positive. But one of the things that I love so much about you is that you always sign off the same way. So tell people how you sign off, because it's so special.
Yeah, I sign off just by telling people that I love them and I'm incredibly proud of them.
And that alone, I feel like I'm just jumping in. That alone, just telling people how proud you are of them, you'd be surprised how many people don't hear that.
Yeah. I say it was an accident, but I know better. There are no such things as accidents, right? When I first started with that sign off, I just, I think I was in a place where somebody had just said, I'm really disappointed in, I can't even remember exactly what it was, but they just said, I'm really disappointed in this. And I was just thinking, I was like, how many times do people hear, like, I'm disappointed in this? This didn't work out the way that I wanted to. You didn't live up to my crazy expectation that I created for you in my head, right? And so I'm like, well, if people can just be randomly disappointed in others, like, we can be randomly proud of them. And so it just kind of flew out of my mouth, as spirit does, right? And it stuck, and I've just kept it ever since.
I love it, because I think, people don't hear it every day. Some people never hear it, and then they get it from you. And also, what's really interesting about watching you is that you start off with this huge amethyst, like, what is it? Like a wand almost? It's gigantic.
It's like this amethyst wand. I think like the metaphysical term is dragon's tooth, is the cut of it. And it's like 13 or 14 inches. Like, it's really big.
Yeah. And you start off with that and you're like adorable and like you're such cute self. And then you get into the message and then you get very like thoughtful, and it's a whole spectrum of emotion. And I'm just like, I just love it, because every single time you are so genuine and it is so beautiful, and somebody somewhere needs to hear that message every single day.
Thanks. I started sharing these messages. Again, it was just like, okay, I'm just going to share this message. And when I think about, like, who am I talking to when I share these messages, or when I'm channeling that through me, I am not necessarily talking to myself now. I'm talking to myself when I was at my lowest. Or I think about my nephews, because I really am an uncle. I know I say, if you don't believe in mediums, I'm your gay uncle who knows a lot of shit. And so I have 2 nephews, and I just think to myself, like, gosh, if they were at their lowest, or if they hit a tough point in their life, like, what would I say to them? Yeah. And so, a lot of it's that, a lot of it's me talking to my past self. And so, as the information comes through, for me, it's really gratifying to see people hear these messages and find value in them.
Yes.
And when I'm like laying in bed at night, I read every comment. I may not be able to respond to all of them, but I do read all of them. And like, just seeing people find value in something that I find valuable feels really good.
Absolutely. It's very philanthropic, and it's just giving back. So let's talk about how you discovered that you were a medium and that you had psychic ability and all of this. You start from the beginning. How did this start for you?
Yeah, well, my grandmother and I would play with the Ouija board. And,
oh my gosh, that's so scary.
And then the devil got in my body, and no, I'm just kidding. I love telling that joke though. No, but really, like, growing up, my grandmother on my dad's side, her name is Abby. She was just so magical, and we would spend so much time together. And, she always had like little crystals in her pocket. She called them her worry stones, when they were, they're crystals. And we would play with the Ouija board, and there was just this sense of magic of just being in her home. And she had this book room upstairs, and I remember finding like a metaphysical book or two. And, when I'm younger, I'm just thinking like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. Look at these like fun books. And then now reflecting back on it, I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe there's a family secret I need to uncover. But,
Ah,
but, I would go up to this book room and I would sit with my friends, right? My non-physical friends. And we would read and they would tell me things. And as a child, I was always very intuitive. One of my favorite stories my mom will tell you a lot of stories about me, and not all of them are my favorite, but there's this one where she says, when I was really young, my parents owned this restaurant, and so did my grandparents. And I remember my mom telling me this story about me just seeing this woman, knowing she was sad, and walking over and sitting next to her and telling my mom, I want to buy her a glass of milk to help to make her feel better.
oh,
And 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 I always just remember being sensitive, or just knowing things, or always feeling emotions to extremes. And for a long time I thought there was something wrong with me, because growing up in the Midwest in Ohio, if you're a male and you're very sensitive, like there's something wrong with you, right? Like clearly that's the case. That's a logical explanation. And looking back now, it's like, no, I was just really, really intuitive in stepping into abilities that I believe all of us have. It's really just a matter of if we're tuning into it. And so I kind of went through this journey of, self-discovery and diving into emotion. And it wasn't until I was in my, I think, like mid 20s where I would start to find more interest in like tarot cards and like copper divining rods. And, back when I drank, I'd get really drunk, and then I could walk into a house and be like, there are three spirits here. You know what I mean? But I would have these like instances where I had this friend, he had this beautiful historical home near the town where I grew up in. And I was like, there were two women. I was really drunk one night. And I was like, there are these two women that used to live here, and this is how they passed, and blah, blah, blah. And I gave all this information. And he pulled out the house ledger, and he was like, oh my God, these are the two women that own this house back in like the early 1900s. And so, to have things like that would pop up. And truthfully, it wasn't until I was in my early 30s where I actually had like a language for what I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was a medium. I didn't, know that I was psychic or intuitive, right? Like I thought that these are things that everyone experienced.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I sat down with a friend and psychic who is now focused in non-physical. And the first thing she said was, oh my God, you are so psychic, and you're a medium, and you're going to be doing this work one day. And this was back in 2016. And I looked at her and I was like, you are nuts.
Like now.
And when I finally decided to get sober and dive deeper into my healing and my trauma that, I had just been triaging for so long. And it wasn't until I started doing all of that it just became really clear of like, oh my gosh, like, I have this ability and I can use it to serve others and help other people. And so I just celebrated 3 years actually this week of doing this professionally.
Wow.
And it's just been such a fun journey, all the way from Ouija boards at my grandmother's house to talking to our friends that are focused in non-physical today. So
I love this because, everybody's journey is a little bit different and also a little bit the same, which is really, I think, kind of how you're on the right path when you meet other people who are like you and you're like, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, this happens to other people too. And like you feel that you find your tribe and your community.
Totally. And like, I hear some mediums, they have these like fantastical stories of, I was just listening to one of my favorite mediums tell her story. And I didn't actually know this about her, and I've been following her for quite a while, but she said that she had a dream where she was woken up from sleep, and she heard three loud knocks at her door, and she answered it, and she could see all of these spirits that were there ready for her to communicate with and help others. And I was like, okay, that wasn't quite my experience, right?
Right.
But like we all have those different things. For me, when I started doing readings for money, I had been reading tarot for a while at this point. And so when I started doing readings for money, I just started with tarot.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically saying, I'm not a psychic. I'm just going to read tarot cards. I'm not going to talk to people. At the time, I used the term dead people. I'm not going to talk to dead people. Like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to read tarot cards, give people life advice, and we're going to call it good.
Yeah.
And, Spirit had other plans. And so now I do work as a medium, which is simply just a bridge. That's all a medium is. We're just a bridge between this frequency and other frequencies. And we're kind of like, I like to say, we're kind of like radios. For anyone that's younger that's listening, a radio is
Radio is this device that we all used to
have. I'm totally teasing, but we would but we're like radios. We just tune our frequency to something, we interpret what's coming through and share that frequency. And so and so that's how I work now.
When you were starting to understand actual mediumship, because I know from my personal experience, and I guess this is the moment I'm sharing this on this podcast, I always say I'm really intuitive, and I am, and so is everyone in my family. It's a whole family affair. I also like to kid that my family is kind of like the practical magic family, because we're all women and we're all super psychic.
Yes.
It's really funny. There are no men, and if there are, they die. So it's kind of bizarre and hilarious. But, when I started realizing that I had mediumship ability, it wasn't like, oh, one day I realized I had it. It was that I always had it, but someone pointed it out to me, and I was like, oh, that makes a whole lot more sense. So what happened for you when you started to realize, like, oh, this is mediumship. This isn't just my subconscious or, maybe a thought that I had, where you're like, oh no, I actually know this is coming from somebody.
Yeah. So I think for me, I had to start with deconstructing what my perception of a medium and a psychic was.
Okay. And what is that?
I think that there's I think that there's a lot of kind of misconceptions around this work and what it is, just because, people see what they see in like movies or on TV. And, we have to understand that those things are amplified to be entertaining, right? And it certainly is. I love a good movie. I love practical magic. I love that you brought up Practical Magic. It's one of my most favorite movies. I love movies like The Craft. I love watching, Teresa Caputo and I've had the honor of seeing John Edward work live. And so, a medium is simply, like I said, simply just a bridge. That's it. We are just the medium in which spirit expresses itself.
And when you start feeling like you're getting someone coming through, explain sort of how that works for someone who's never experienced that.
Yeah. So it's so funny because I talk to my medium friends and we all experience this different. For me, my head will start to tingle. The backs of my knees will start to sweat. It's very sexy. And then it comes up behind me, right? So working psychically, and a psychic is simply someone who just can perceive energy outside of themselves or perceive the energy of others, right? All mediums are psychic. Not all psychics are mediums, because psychic work is dealing person to person. Mediumship is dealing with spirit. So these are your guides, angels, loved ones who have crossed over, ascended masters, channeling, all that fun jazz, right? So working psychically, if I'm connecting with someone's energy, I just feel this kind of connection, but the connection is happening in front of me. am blending that energy. When I'm working mediumistically, it's all behind me.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
almost like I've got my face towards a wall, and you know how like when you can feel someone just behind you. And so it's all of this is coming through, and it always comes through on my right side,
Mhm.
and like right in towards the back of me. And and once I start building that connection, things like names will come through. Or are they, how did they identify in a physical body? What was their relationship to the person that I'm connecting for? Spirit will speak to me in symbols and pictures and all of that, right? And so it's certainly not a perfect process. I always say mediumship is messy.
Yes.
It's not like it's not as clean and simple as you see on TV. I think when you watch readings on TV and you're seeing those 5 to 10 minute readings, you're seeing all of the things that connected and made sense. There's like 20 minutes of like someone thinking through their family tree or
Yeah.
trying to figure out how the information connects, right?
Right.
So, um, so that's how I work mediumistically. And for me, mediumship is very physical, meaning I feel it in my body.
Mhm.
Some of it is mental, the seeing, the hearing, but a lot of it is how spirit is making me feel, especially with how they passed, especially with how they feel about the person that I'm connecting with.
Mhm.
So that's how I work.
How interesting. People always talk about the clairs, the clairaudience, clairsentience, and all of that. Which clairs do you have?
I mean, we have all of them, right? I don't use all of them. So, I seeing, hearing, and feeling are the main ones that I work with. Taste and smell here and there. It's not as strong. It's not, I don't lean into them as much as the others. Um, so, smells will be anything from, I'll get a smell of like, perfume or a specific type of flower. Taste, you know it, taste can sometimes be if someone was a baker. I always love getting like the taste of chocolate in my mouth. It's so delicious. Or but I typically lean more so into the feeling, hearing and seeing,
Okay,
or
very cool.
clairaudience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance.
Um, I love that. I get a lot of scent actually, which is so funny. I had it this
Yeah.
morning too. I was like, who's that? It was like a very young smelling perfume, like someone young, like 20s
Yeah.
or something. And I was like, oh, hello. So what do you do to prepare to read for someone? Because I know some people really want to prepare like the night before or not. What is sort of your method?
Yeah. So I met for my own just personal spiritual practice. I meditate every morning. First thing, I sit up in bed and I meditate before seeing clients. I will meditate. I'll do a little bit of a different meditation. So when I'm meditating in the morning for myself, my own spiritual practice, I do a lot of visualization, practicing what it is I want to feel for the day or what I want to feel if I'm manifesting something. When it comes to clients, I do what's called a sitting in the power meditation, which is taught very heavily in spiritualism. And if anyone is familiar, the Arthur Findlay College over in the UK, who I take a lot of classes from, they don't pay me to promote them. I just really like them. And and so sitting in the power it's a great meditation, even if you're not a medium per se, or you don't work mediumistically. It's a great meditation for learning of how to just feel your own energy, how to feel it expand, and then how to feel it blend with the energy of spirit, the universe, God, source, whatever words you want to use there. And just sitting in that and holding it and feeling the power of it. And from there, I just, before clients, I try not to do anything on days I see clients. I try not to do anything in the morning that's going to kind of disturb my peace, if you will. So, I'll go to the gym, I'll have a good breakfast, I'll just kind of take my time, and then I'll meditate, and then I'll take clients. For me, it's all about the regulated nervous system with clients, right? Because spirit is so subtle. I
Yeah.
think sometimes people think that spirit is like, sometimes you do get kind of like the loud pieces of evidence, but for the most part, it's a subtle feeling. So for me, having like that nice, calm, regulated nervous system, I can just feel those things a little bit better. Like if I have someone's loved one who, if he or she had passed away from a certain type of cancer, if my body is nice and calm, I can just feel in my body where it was. Versus if I'm kind of like a little bit amped, it might just kind of take me a minute to get there. So, I've cut out caffeine from my diet, which has been, fun for
Congratulations.
sure. Um, but for the most part, though, in terms of preparing, the meditation, all that's important, man. But sometimes I just love cranking some good music and dancing around because
Yeah.
spirit, it's high vibrational energy. And so my only intention is just to connect in whatever way I can to that energy and what feels good. So sometimes it is deep meditation. Other times it's just like dancing around and kind of getting amped. Sometimes it's just cleaning. If I've got
Yeah.
kind of some other stuff on my mind, for whatever reason, cleaning helps to kind of
Oh, me too.
calm that down. Yeah, and then I just jump right into clients. It's very grounding. So my home is always clean. So
What a great excuse to clean your house, you guys. Just
yeah,
clean and then clear the head. It is true. Like cleanliness is like next to godliness. I swear that's
I
true.
get why they say that now.
Me
Like
too.
I totally get it. I totally
Yeah,
get it.
I totally get it too. Okay, so actually you mentioned having your nervous system be regulated and just being calm. I think this would be a really great moment to like have people understand how they can do that to get like their question answered because a lot of people are like, I don't know what my gut's telling me. How am I supposed to listen to my gut? How do I know? Especially with really hard questions where they're like, well, I could go this way and this way. I don't know.
Mhm.
Do you have kind of a way that people can do that where they can hear their gut really well? Because it is subtle. It's very subtle.
Yeah, it is super subtle. So, for me, consistent meditation has been helpful. I will say, in my journey of being a medium, I have done more emotional healing in the last 3 years than I think I've done in the 37 that I've been alive here in
Yeah.
this timeline. So, I think if you're looking for that instant quick answer, a couple of nice deep breaths just really calm your body and then ask the question, whether it's in your mind or out loud, and just kind of see what your very first kind of instinct is or the very first thing that comes through. So, but if you want to be able to do it more often, doing some deeper healing might be good, right? Because like you can temporarily calm your nervous system. But for me, it's been really working out the energy that kept my nervous system in that fight or flight response. A lot of people are living in a fight or flight response and
Mhm.
have no idea that that's what's happening, right? And so when you take that journey of deeper healing and you get to a place finally where you're like, oh, this is what like just peace feels like. This is great.
Wonderful
if
place.
yeah, if we're looking for more of that kind of like, I need to know this answer and I need it now, something that I've actually been working with lately, a new concept that I received from my guides, was not to just go for the yes or no answer.
Hmm.
Instead, it's go for what I'm feeling like and keep digging or keep exploring it. Because I think sometimes, yeah, it's like, yeah, we do want the yes or no answer, leave the relationship, stay in the relationship, get the new job, or stay where I'm at, whatever it is, right? It's always a go stay kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so taking that time to really explore, like, well, why do I want to go? What in here is making me want to leave this relationship or leave this job? Or what's the energy of me wanting this specific manifestation? And so for me in my own practice, I've actually stopped looking at things more so as a yes or no and more so as okay, what's here and what can I unfold here? And
Mhm.
that has served me so well.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I feel like this is a really good moment to talk about like being in your right alignment as well. Because once you start finding that peace and doing that work, and really you have more courage to go into your right alignment, you just naturally go there. But a lot of people here, especially if you are sort of in the spiritual community, it's like, oh, I want to jump a timeline. I want to jump 4 timelines. I want to be in my right alignment. What is your perspective or your take on what that all means for someone who might not know?
Yeah, and that's actually funny. That's actually the comment that I get the most whenever I use it, whenever I have a video and I talk about alignment or I make a post that talks about alignment. People are like, okay, what's alignment?
Yeah.
And so I love that this is coming up. So alignment for me it is that feeling of peace. It is that feeling of just being in your power.
Mm.
And when we say being in your power, it's not a place of control. It's not a place of domination. It's a place of just knowing.
Mhm.
And we go in and out of alignment all day long.
Yeah.
Alignment is not like a college degree where once you achieve it, you're there forever, right?
Right. I did it.
I did it.
I know
I'm here.
everything now.
Yeah, I know everything. And the second you say that, you're actually way out of alignment again. So, right? So like it's okay to go back and forth. I think for me and helping myself find alignment has been truthfully in the times I'm out of alignment, that is serving me to get me back into alignment. That knowing that I'm not in alignment is an awareness and an asking to be back in alignment. So alignment for me, it's a feeling of peace. It's a feeling of clarity. It's a feeling of absolute knowing. And I think that people get there more than they think they do. But I also think that sometimes we can talk ourselves out of alignment by pushing against what it is that we don't want to experience. And we say, like, I don't want to experience this. I don't want to experience this. I don't want to experience this. And we do that until we're in the experience of what it is that we don't want to be experiencing. Right. And so for me, kind of getting into alignment, it's a gentle process. You talk about quantum jumping and quantum leaping, which I love that. What I think that people sometimes, and when I say sometimes, I mean a lot, just by my own observation, is that if you're going to do a quantum jump, that's the equivalent of taking a train that's going 100 miles an hour one way and then getting it to go 100 miles an hour instantly in the other direction. If you're on that train, you better buckle up.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, it's because when we're trying to shove ourselves back into alignment or shove ourselves into a different timeline very quickly, there's a lot of work that comes up with that. There's a lot of resistance that's going to come up with that, right? And so for me, instead, alignment, it's a gentle easing of my energy back into that space. So if I notice I'm out of alignment, whether it's like, somebody cuts me off in traffic or, I just wake up and I'm just like, I'm just like irritable, right? For me, you have to acknowledge where you are. So if you're wanting to quantum jump, you have to acknowledge, I don't like where I am.
Yeah.
And being okay saying that. I don't love where I'm at right now. I want to feel better. A quantum jump simply for me is, I really hate where I am. I don't want to feel this anymore. I want to be somewhere else and I want to do it now. And so at least all the times that I've tried to do quantum leaping, that has been the case for me.
That makes sense. No, I think everyone feels that way. Yeah.
Right. And so, because truthfully, if you're fine where you're at, why do you want to
jump
to something else, right? So, and I'm not saying it's not possible. It absolutely is. It just comes with some work, right? And so for me, it's more of a gentle tuning that. So I might just say, okay, I don't love where I'm at right now. I don't love how I'm feeling. I'm feeling guilt. I'm feeling shame. I'm feeling this. Okay, amazing. I forgive myself for being here because I'm human and I'm going to be here and I might be here again. What do I want to feel instead? I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel connected, right? And so I'll just gently ease myself there through my own emotion, not through external sources. Because I think a lot of times we want to jump to something to experience something different externally.
Yeah.
But the work truly is in the internal, because external circumstances or external conditions, they always change and they're not stagnant and they're not static. They do shift.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, to just like even more so clarify that, it's like if you are going for something because of the status, like you're saying, like you want a certain lifestyle, which is so fine, like totally okay. But like if you're doing it from a lower vibrational energy of like, because I want to look a certain way, or because I want to get a certain person, or because I want this kind of respect, that's probably not the reason you should be doing this.
Yeah. And you might get it. And
Yeah.
you might also be incredibly unhappy when you do get there.
Mhm. I think
And
we do
so,
that a lot actually with people.
yeah, well, for me, it was, I started my manifestation journey. I did that. I was broke and I wanted money. Like that was it.
Very legitimate.
I was living like, paycheck to paycheck, sometimes not even that, right? And then, and I wanted money. And so I'm like, for me, it was like, let me just chase after money and chase after money. And it was funny, I would get the money, but it was still never enough.
Yes, yes.
And then one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Abraham Hicks, was when I work out, I listen to a lot of Abraham. And so there was something about the definition of desire. And according to Abraham Hicks, the definition of desire is not, I want something because I don't have it. That comes from very much a place of lack. And it puts a big gap between you and what it is that you would like to expand into. But instead, I feel really good. I really love where I'm at, and I want to experience more that reflects that. And for me, when I'm in that space and I am doing manifesting work, or I'm wanting to just continue my expansion journey, those things just come so much easier. And I never have to feel like I'm really struggling to get there.
Yeah, that's such a good point because, a lot of people, including myself, have had a really tough 2023.
Yeah.
Just one of those years you're like, this one can just burn. Like it's done. We're done. I got so many big, big lessons this year, as did a lot of people. And, girlfriend, not the first. So many have called and they're just like, I'm terrified. Like what's happening next? And not like, they're looking for any sort of psychic guidance, but more just friend guidance. And it's interesting. So a girlfriend had just called and she's like, the thing that I wanted the most, the thing that she is so perfect for it. They said no. They said no. They passed on her. And I was like, well, if not this, then something better. And that's such an important thing to remember when you're trying to manifest and it's not coming, or it's so close, but then poof, just goes away. Like you were saying, it's rerouting. It's just rerouting you to where you should be. So when you do that gentle kind of nudge, you let the gentle nudge, it really will direct you. You might not be like excited about the direction, but
Yeah.
it's really interesting. When I heard her story, the first thing I thought of was like, it's just not time. Or actually the biggest feeling I had was, I think that you're better than that. I think you actually have something better that you're just so much more aligned with, but it's bigger than this, than what you
Yes.
want.
Yes, I can identify with that so much. I was in cosmetics for 17 years.
Oh my goodness.
That was like my career. Like when I was out of seriously, I'd like turned 18 and I got a job at working at MAC Cosmetics. And I was in like I was in my little fishnet top and I had my smoky eyeliner. This was like 2005. Yes. And I was like, oh my God. And I loved my time in beauty. I loved it so much. It was great. And, in 2020, like a lot of people, my role at the company I was with was eliminated. Mm-hmm. And I remember before my role was eliminated, I think maybe a month before that, I remember sitting on my living room floor and I was like, okay, what do I want? What do I want? And I sat down and I was like, I want to be happy. I want time freedom. I want money freedom. And I want to help other people. And if you would have asked me then what that was, I would have said another job in beauty.
Yeah.
And then I'm laid off. And then I get this job interview for this other role that I was like, oh my God, this is it. I love this. I'm going to get this role. And the interviewer even told me, she was like, you are my top candidate. Yeah. And then they didn't even call me to tell me that I didn't get it. I found out through social media that somebody else got it.
Wow.
And I was so hurt, but something inside me was like, there's something else.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, I post my first TikTok doing a tarot reading. And then all of a sudden I'm getting emails and DMs. Do you do readings? And I'm like, yeah, I do now. And so
I am available.
I'm not working. So let's do this.
Right.
And, looking back now 3 years later, I'm doing something I love. I get to meet amazing people. I get to travel. I get to have the time freedom and the money freedom that I wanted. Don't get me wrong, I still look at the gas pump when I'm pumping gas. Okay.
Everybody does, especially today.
But like, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's just continuing to expand. And even now, I know while I am so happy doing what I'm doing, I also know there's more expansion happening.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a beautiful place to be in. But, before that, I got, I had some tough blows before this happened. And, but I think the key is, for me, it's been when those tough things happen, you just learn from it. That's the best you can do, is just saying, all right, what is this? How can I adjust my energy? Or what's the lesson I can take from this? And just keep going. And I think that that's so important.
I love everything you just said. And I relate so much to that. We will talk about that after we're done with the podcast. Yeah, I think a lot of us have just been through so much since the pandemic, and because of it, and we think, oh, we just want our lives back. I used to say that all the time. I'm like, I just want my life back. I just want my life back. Oh, well, be careful what you wish for, because you'll get it. And it will not be your right timeline anymore. It will not be the alignment that you need. And just like you said, you were like, I'm just going to post a TikTok. And it was that gentle nudge, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. That I didn't know why I was doing it. Right. There was no like loud, like booming voice, post a TikTok and you'll be immediate. There was none of that. Right. It was very much just like, I'm just going to do this. I don't know why. I'm just going to do it.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes. Yes.
With zero intention of doing this work. And now here we are. I say that, but I did have the intention of doing this work. I just didn't put it in this framework, but I did have this intention. I did have the intention to help people and to serve and to feel aligned in what feels to me like, I know that my purpose is simply to expand and enjoy the process, but to do work that feels aligned with that purpose feels really good. And I think now, with manifesting, getting the manifestation, like it's fun. It's good. Like I'm always happy when I do, but for me now, it's like just the creating it is fun. Like just the being in it and then aligning my energy to it and then seeing what resistance I have around it. And then, working through that and then allowing it, like that has been more fun than receiving any manifestation I've ever received.
Right. Do you feel like you're just more in tune with your higher self? Like when that's happening, you're just like, do you feel in body or do you feel out of body?
Man, I feel complete, if that makes sense.
Oh, I like that. That feels.
I just feel complete. And don't get me wrong. I have days. There are hard days where I'm like, what's happening? But those days are few and far between. And when I'm in them, I know how to gently love myself through it and shift to that feeling of feeling complete.
So someone's listening right now and they're like, I want less days where I feel incomplete and I feel crazy and I'm having like moments. What's something that they can do right now, like today?
Choose a better thought. Choose a better thought. There's my favorite quote is by Tina Turner. And if you know, for those of you listening, Tina Turner is a singer. No, I'm just kidding. So, so Tina Turner just, she was a woman. Her story has just always inspired me. She was a woman who just, you look at her story and you're like, damn, wow. Girl.
Yeah.
And she leaned very deeply into her spiritual practice. She was a practicing Buddhist. She would chant and meditate, and she leaned into the chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and would just repeat that over and over again. And one of my favorite quotes about her was, that she said was, you might not be able to change your outside circumstances, but you can always change your thought. And it's so true. And I think sometimes we forget that there's so much power behind shifting our thoughts, right? And I don't mean like ignore how you're really feeling, because you know, you can't do that. You can try to ignore how you're feeling, but it just creeps up on you.
Yeah, it finds you.
It does. And so I think it's totally okay to say, for me, anyways, saying what I'm feeling or naming what I'm feeling just immediately takes away its power.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm like, God, I'm feeling sad, it's like my body relaxes. Like any tension I was holding on to, my body's just like, whew, thankfully, like finally you said it, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'm feeling sad. Okay, amazing. And I don't dive into it. I'm like, why do I feel sad? What happened to me 20 years ago that's creeping up right now to make me feel
Right.
sad?
Let
Right.
me deep dive.
Right. Instead, it's like, God, I feel sad. What do I want to feel instead? Right. And so, whenever we're feeling a negative emotion, the opposite of it always exists. Anytime the problem arises, its solution is automatically created. And so, just knowing that and knowing that I have the power, I have so much freedom that I can choose how I'm feeling. I can take time, and whether that's taking a couple of minutes to meditate, whether it's taking a nap, whether it's taking a walk, whatever it is, just to kind of get myself to shift into something that feels better. When I shift into what feels better, I'm tuned to the frequency of the solution. But if I'm in the vibration of the problem, it's really hard to find your way out. That's why choosing a different thought is so important, because then choosing the different thought might lead you to, you know what, I do have this reoccurring emotion that keeps coming up. Maybe I do need to go work in therapy and work through that. Or, you know, I do sometimes feel sad in this relationship. I need to explore a little bit more of like why that happens and find a solution, right? It becomes a lot less blame, shame, and guilt, and a lot more, let's find a way forward. Let's expand through this.
Let's talk about expansion because we keep talking about it. And I know you and I know what we're talking about,
Yeah,
but I think some people might be like, what does that mean,
yeah,
expansion?
yeah,
Because this year was the year of expansion. Like,
yeah,
I didn't know that was going to be my word, but it was. And not easy expansion. It was amazing to see what it could look like and to feel that expansion and to now move forward and be like, I see. Thank you for
mhm,
that vision. Thank you for those gifts.
yes,
So my understanding of expansion
mhm,
is in one way, like it can be presented to you. You can be around people that are living a life that you're like, wow, I would love to live a kind of life like that. You're inspirational. I have a mentor. I love her so much. We have literally only spent one day in real life, like in person together. And
mhm,
then we have been supportive of each other on social media and in life ever since then. And I did a podcast with her because I just loved her so much. And she's so incredible. Like she's accomplished things. I was like, I don't even know what you do. You're so amazing. But it's like when you see people who are like, wow, that's amazing. I so respect and like appreciate who you are. To me, that feels like expansion. So
yeah,
it doesn't mean I want to be her or do what she's doing. It just means that is totally a sort of life. And I say style, but I don't mean like always aesthetically. I mean just like a life that is so inspiring to me. So that's kind of my idea of expansion. What
yeah.
is expansion to you?
It's just growth. That's
Mhm.
it. Like expansion is growth. And I believe that we, you know, we're non-physically focused. We came into a physical body with
Unfortunately.
the with the with the intention of experiencing contrast, because in contrast we expand.
Mm,
And so expansion is, it's that growth, it's that forward momentum when we're always expanding. And anytime I get a client that's like, I'm stuck, I'm like, no, you're not. You're literally always expanding. There's no way around it, right? You might not be experiencing a momentum of expansion or a quick momentum of expansion, which can feel stagnant or feel stuck, but we're always expanding. And so our expansion journey here is it's the journey of life, it's the journey of growth, and it is so incredibly healthy to lean into that expansion. It requires us to be to allow ourselves to also expand with change.
Yeah.
Expansion is a lot of change. It's not being attached to one specific outcome or one specific way of doing things. It's I won't say living without attachment, because I think that is a very lofty thing. And I think if you're able to do that, amazing.
Yeah.
I think for me, though, it's just for me, an expansion has been giving myself that permission to be more in alignment with who I really am. And for me, that has been expansion. And I think that, expansion is inevitable. Us enjoying it is intentional.
Right? Try to enjoy it. I love that. I think, yeah, just really calling it growth, because we expand in all kinds of ways, whether it's good or bad, or just seeing a timeline that looks really fun. And it's so okay. I love this. So I did songwriting professionally for a really long time. And there's this amazing book called Songwriters on Songwriting. And so many artists, of course, are just channeled from source spirit, the collective subconscious. I swear, we're just like, oh, cool. Thank you for that idea. And then just like we run with it. And so many songwriters will say, I didn't write this song. Like it was channeled through me. And when you just really like let go to it and just take what's being brought to you. I mean, you could be taking a shower, which is usually when it happens because you're distracted, or you're taking a walk or whatever. It's just, you get this wonderful hit of maybe what you should be doing. I did kind of lose my train of thought, so perhaps I can come back around to it. I'm trying to remember it, but there was a reason I brought this up.
Yeah, talking about expansion and just connecting into that, that universal flow of energy.
Yes. So essentially, like, if you are feeling, especially if this kind of goes back to like following your gut, if you get a hit on something, like there's something that I'm doing and creating right now that I do not remember when this hit came, but it came and I was like, okay. And I just started doing it. And it was the most subtle thing I've ever felt in my life, but it was very like, and this is for you. Like, take it. And I'm like, okay. And it's just really, I think, with everything we've talked about, like trusting yourself and learning to trust yourself, not only can you develop your, intuition more and all of the gifts that are probably waiting to come out or that you do know about, but you want to further develop. A lot of people are scared of their presence, their gifts, and everything that wants to come to them. But also just developing a trust within yourself, you can actually find your alignment and find your highest timeline and keep expanding and have the life that, we all say we want. Like, I want to live my best life. I want to live my best life. We hear it all the time, but like, you are living your best life. Maybe not every moment, like you've said, is fantastic. Of course, it can't be, because it has to be contrast, which you've also talked about. But just paying attention to what's coming through and then trusting it is huge.
It is. It is.
I really did lose my train of thought, but there was that nugget.
That was a great nugget.
I was like, and it's gone. Travis, you are so awesome. I feel like I could talk to you forever and ever. So, is there anything that you would like to add that you have not mentioned that you think is important for people to know, either about what you do or about everything we've talked about, or anything that just comes to you?
Yeah, I would just say, I think what's important right now, we have so much happening, in the world, right? And not just right now, we've had so much happening in the world. And there will continue to be things that happen in the world that are unsettling or disruptive or divisive, you name it. And so I think that, the only thing that I would like to share is that I think the best thing sometimes that we can do is tune into our own inner knowing, tune into our own peace, and respond from that place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that anyone who is looking to explore, dive into their own intuition or their own mediumistic or psychic ability, just go easy, take your time, and, have fun with it, because it is fun. Ultimately, I think spirit, I always say spirit's been my favorite boss so far.
The best boss.
Yeah, the best boss. And anyone out there, I think it's safe to say everyone is probably trying or, working through something, or, wanting to lean into their expansion. Just be kinder to yourself. There's no such thing as perfect. Mm-hmm. It's never going to be perfect. You're never going to get it all done. Mm-hmm. And you're never going to hit a place where you've arrived and that's it. That's what expansion is. It's consistent expansion. So cut yourself a break and enjoy the ride a little bit more.
I love that. Tell people how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Travis Warrior Unicorn, and my website, travisholp.com.
And everything will be in the show notes below. You just click on them, go follow him. It's just such a lovely, I always love seeing your stuff every day. I'm like, click, yes, like.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you so much for coming on. You are welcome back anytime you ever want to talk about anything. You just let me know. Thank you so much, Travis.
Thank you.